In corporate, the grandmama is the baby. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those that are new here, my name is India. It's so nice to meet you. For those that are returning, it's so good to see you again. So I'm literally about to read one of my Substack posts. So I just dropped a Substack and it's called The Corporate Dropout. And basically I'm speaking all things corporate to calling journey. It's not this, I want people to know this is not a platform where I am trying to convince you to leave your corporate job to be a full-time creator or a full-time entrepreneur. Because baby, it's hard out here. It's real hard out here, okay? I be going through it every day. But this is me sharing my story, documenting my story in real time. And I figured for every Substack that I post, why not narrate the actual Substack so that you guys can hear it from my voice? So that's exactly what I'm about to do. This is my first Substack that I posted on May 18th. So I'm literally about to narrate it for you guys. But we're going to stop and we're going to talk about some things because there's some things that need to be talked about, okay? So here we go. Let's dive into it, okay? Let's dive right into it. So title. The title is Corporate America Was Never Built for Gen Z, signed a 23-year-old corporate dropout. I'm the 23-year-old corporate dropout, okay? Let's unpack how they lost their first baddie. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, okay? We're going to talk about it. So, what do you get when you mix a Gen Z multi-hyphenate and a system built to limit, control, and contain said multi-hyphenate's existence? A 23-year-old corporate dropout. Yep, that's my story in a nutshell. So, hey, I'm India, the corporate dropout. And make sure when y'all say corporate dropout, make sure you put that TM next to it, baby, because that trademark is pending. Amen. Okay, so I've been wanting to coin the corporate dropout for a minute now, but I knew if I started, which I did kind of hint at it, but I knew if I went full force in, that there were going to be people out there that wanted to use that. And no, she's mine. Sorry. So we got her trademarked. She's pending right now. She's pending. That's why we got the TM and not the R. She's pending. But, you know, say a prayer for your girl that the trademark, everything goes smoothly. But yes, when you say the corporate dropout, make sure you put a TM by it because it's owned by India Synai. Thank you. Okay. Anywho, let's run that back. So it says, yep, that's my story in a nutshell. So, hey, I'm India, the corporate dropout, and welcome to my career. No, I'm just playing. But seriously, welcome to my creative... that's a big word for Elmo. Welcome to my creative overflow corner where I'll be unpacking the raw and unfiltered journey of becoming a corporate dropout. Pivoting in real time, building boldly, and stepping into the badass version of myself I was always meant to be. Thank you. Now, my public relations degree is going to make me tell you what this is not before we dive into what it is. So hang tight while I put things into perspective. Number one, this is not me telling you to scrap your business, ditch your creative endeavors, or to erase your social media influence. In fact, I never tell you to do that. This me talk. Why the hell would I tell you to do that? Okay? Because I quickly volunteered as tribute to walk away from corporate at the first sight of misalignment. We all know I'm Miss Corporate Dropout. I'm the corporate dropout. I'm the girl that left corporate because they was doing too much and they thought they could control this one right here. And they couldn't, okay? So I would never tell you to give up your businesses, to ditch your social media platforms. None of that. That is not what this article is about, okay? Number one. Number two, with that said, this also is not me telling you to pick between corporate and creative entrepreneurship. While I don't regret my choice one bit, it's been real rough out here to say the least. Simply put, them bills ain't gonna wait for you to get things cracking, and neither should you, okay? We're living in a pretty fucked up economy right now, so having consistent income should be at the top of your priority list. But also, don't let your corporate job dictate what you do in your free time, gang. Okay, so I feel like one thing that a lot of people do, they join corporate and then they lose sight of what made them happy. Or it could be you start a new job and you lose sight of what made you happy. And this is me speaking from personal experience. Please do not let your job dictate what you do when you are not on the clock. Please do not let your job interfere with your mental health and your wellness, because if you don't take care of you, how the hell are you supposed to do that damn job? If you're not here, they're going to get a job to somebody else. So why are you living to work and not working to live? Come on. Now, next, finally, just because I dropped out don't mean you have to. One thing about it, I'm not Miss Corporate Dropout, the Corporate Dropout, and I'm not trying to go on a rampage about why everybody need to be Corporate Dropout. No. This is my life, okay? Do whatever you need to do in your life. This is me sharing my life. And if it just so happens to stick, if it just so happens to resonate, I absolutely love that. But this is not me trying to dictate what you do with your life based on what I did for mine, okay? And just because this was my experience doesn't mean it's going to be yours. Amen. Amen. So that's basically me saying that I'm speaking from personal experience. That doesn't mean that this is what all corporations are like in corporate America. It just means that this was my personal experience in corporate America, okay? I'm not speaking for all the other corporations. You might have a different experience with where you work at. And if you got something different going on, then I love that for you. But I'm speaking about what happened, what went down with me, okay? Next, I said, phew. Glad we got that out the way. Now, let's get into what this is. So what is this? This is me speaking from personal experience and clocking the fact that these are things college often does not prepare you for. Think of it as me helping you see the reality before it kicks you in the ass like it did me, baby. I got kicked in the ass, kicked in the head, kicked in the coochie, kicked everywhere, child. I got kicked everywhere, okay? This is me sticking up for every Gen Zer in the same boat. The minute I opened up about my experience on YouTube was the minute I realized how many other people were going through the same thing. So if I can be the voice for those who can't speak up, then let's call a spade a spade. So I was honestly very scared to open up about my corporate to calling journey because I felt like I set myself up to have the perfect image. Everybody thought I was the girl with the 4.0 GPA with all the accolades and, you know, all the companies and the internship opportunities knocking at my door. And then the script changed. And this is what I talk about in my first entry for my Diaries of a Corporate Dropout. So definitely be sure to go read that and definitely check out that video because I did make a video just like this one for that Substack. This is what I talk about then is how everything changed. I was once the girl who had everything set up. I was following the plan. And then the plan just completely blew up in my face. And so I was scared to open up about that because I knew that I was always the girl that had the perfect life, the perfect grades, the perfect accolades, the perfect reputation. Like everything was just spot on. I had everything down to a science, to a T. And now I'm the girl that dropped out of corporate. Like we did a complete 180. But truth be told, corporate just really wasn't meant for me. And I think for me, it was a matter of thinking of it as I cannot be boxed in. I have my hands in so many different things. I can do so many different things that I cannot be confined to corporate's box and corporate's rules. And that's just how it is for me. And that doesn't mean that anyone who is in corporate, you know, isn't creative or, you know, is boxing themselves in. That's not what that means. I'm just speaking, you know, about me and my personal experience, okay? Once again. But I think the minute that I did open up, that's when I realized so many people were flooding my DMs, my comment section, just talking about how they could relate, thanking me for sharing because they too were going through the same thing, or they were going down a similar path where they have a business or they create content but they want to enter corporate and not knowing, you know, what they're about to face in terms of, you know, the side business that you think is going to look good on your resume and showcase experience, or that content creation platform that you think is going to show experience and marketing and influencer, you know, all that. Baby, they gonna see that as competition, okay? But I ain't gonna spill too much. We gonna baby steps, work our way in. So let's get back, okay? So this is me calling corporate America out with the hopes of pushing larger corporations to do better for the next wave of baddies. Times are changing, and it's time these big companies get with the program if they want to sustain a workforce that actually benefits from the creativity, innovation, and unfiltered genius that Gen Z brings to the table. We are not lazy. And we surely are not difficult. We just ain't gonna accept the conditions previous generations were forced to endure to put food on the table. We gonna find a way or make one, okay? In the name of Gen Z, we are not putting up with that same stuff that they was putting up with back in the day. We gonna find a way or make one, okay? We are serious when it comes to our mental health, when it comes to walking away, when it comes to starting from scratch, starting over. We are serious about that, okay? We don't play. Now, don't worry, I'll be spilling all my tea from start to finish in my corporate dropout diary entries. Like I said, that video I just recorded like an hour ago, so it should be up soon, within the next week or so. So definitely be sure to check that out. Check out my Substack again in the description. You are getting the full unfiltered story, the lessons learned, and the strategies that helped me evolve into the version of myself I was always meant to become. It's still a work in progress, but I've learned so much, and I definitely want to, pass that down to the next person who is on a similar journey. Anywho, let's cut to the chase. Here are 5 things nobody warns Gen Z multi-hyphenates about before entering corporate America. Let's get into it, okay? Number one, in corporate, the grandmama is the baby. I'm gonna say that again. In corporate, the grandmama is the baby. Okay, what does that mean, India? We grew up with the internet, social media, AI. Now, AI deserves its own conversation, yes. And a level of access previous generations did not have. That alone shifted the playing field. The norm used to be that employees would show up to work with no outside baggage, no side hustles, no brands, no extra layers of identity outside of that job and their family, of course. Now, even going further back, our grandparents were clocking in, doing the work, and clocking out, with the work being the main and sometimes only source of income. So a lot of our grandparents, they went to work, they got their money to feed their family, and that's it. They didn't have these side business. Now, some of y'all maybe, okay? But for a lot of us, our grandparents went to work, did what they had to do, came home, put food on the table for their families, and repeated it. They didn't have multiple, streams of income. Now, we are not just trying to build corporate careers. We are simultaneously building brands, businesses, and visibility in real time. So yeah, we're not just employees. We are an ecosystem. And that's how I deal with my entire brand. I have an ecosystem. India Synai bleeds into Honest Creative, which bleeds into Synai Symone, which bleeds into India Synai Gay, who is me as an individual. All of my brands bleed into each other. They make sense because they are an ecosystem. Okay, so we as multi-hyphenates, we have an ecosystem. This is an ecosystem because everything is working together collectively to make this one whole, which is my entire, brand as a whole. So I said, let's be real. We are not showing up to corporate with one lane. We are showing up with side hustles, businesses, and personal brands already in motion. And I mean, who can blame us? Because one salary ain't enough nowadays. So y'all talking about Gen Z got their hands in everything. You doing too much. You need to just focus on this, focus on that. Baby, a house back in the day, $30K. Baby, $30K probably ain't even enough in a year to pay your rent. If you want to live decently now, you need at least $30K to pay your rent for the whole year. Okay, so money don't stretch like it used to. So we kind of have to have multiple streams of income if we want to live comfortably in this day and age. Gas is freaking $4, $4 or $5. It's people that are making $7.25. Child. Anywho, now yes, millennials had a little something going on before us, but Gen Z, baby, we are the innovators, the builders, disruptors. And I go to bat and say that within the fields of business, marketing, and PR, you're probably more likely to run into Gen Zers with businesses and social influence than not. Now, that's me speaking from the heart. That's not me speaking. That's why I said I will go to bat to say. I didn't say statistics show, baby. This ain't J School. This ain't, baby, no, okay? I will go to bat to say that within the fields of business, marketing, and PR, you're probably more likely to run into a Gen Zer that has a business or that has a social media platform or that has done some sort of creative project, creative direction, photography, videography, something modeled. You're more likely to run into a Gen Zer that has had personal experience in that industry through some sort of creative endeavor, business, or social media platform than not. Why? Because how do you expect us to be able to do these things if we haven't had the personal experience? I have better experience having done it myself in college or as a teenager, and then I go to corporate and then I get that corporate experience, okay? But a lot of them see that as competition. That's what they was saying. Okay, now I say all this to say corporate is not used to this. They are used to generations before us who've put their heart and soul into the work that they did and went home to feed the family. And while we may also give that same level of effort, and we too are taking care of households, corporate surely ain't the only bread maker. Matter of fact, it's probably sitting somewhere at the bottom of the barrel, Okay, bottom of the playing field. Only there for stability as we build up our true income streams, as we should. Okay, so a lot of the times corporate is just there for stability. It's there so that we can have a consistent paycheck, so that we can get a house or we can get an apartment, okay, and show that we have consistent income. It's there so that we can use it to invest in different things, or we can use it to fund the actual life that we want. But a lot of the times corporate is not our end goal. Our biggest motivator is seeing those before us who put in 40 plus years, because who finna work that long? Not me. Not I. Get somebody else to do it. Double it and pass it on to the next one, okay? Especially if I don't love what I do. Now, if I love what I do, then perhaps I would stay in for the long haul. But climbing a corporate ladder, no thank you. No thank you. Now, that was number one. Number two, corporate was never built for Gen Z multi-hyphenates. In fact, I was their first baddie. Okay, now let's talk about it. So, they were not ready to employ someone with multiple businesses and a full digital footprint. And hey, I get it. They don't have to. If others with less baggage that fit the traditional mold and get the job done without friction can do the job. So basically that means that if there's someone else who doesn't have as much baggage but can also get the job done, then they're gonna go with that other person. Now, yes, that person can't do what I do. That person can't bring to the table what I bring to the table. But if they can meet the job, requirements, if they can meet the job description and do what the job description says, and they have the qualifications to do it, and they don't come with all that baggage, then yeah, they probably gonna go with them over me, because they're like, she's a liability, she has XYZ businesses, she's a content creator, we can't control XYZ, we can't see XYZ. If she partners with this brand and this brand has a bad reputation, now it's attached to us. If she posts content that says this, she's attached to us. It's liability. So yeah, they're probably gonna go in the direction of somebody that don't have all that baggage. And I said, and listen, no matter how irreplaceable we may think we are, in the world of corporate, everyone is replaceable. Matter of fact, the dream job I turned down after months of back and forth was quickly posted after I officially said no. Matter of fact, the internship that I gave up to continue working for the corporation that eventually, I had to decline that position, that internship was posted almost immediately for another person to get. Matter of fact, the post-grad job at that Fortune 500 company that I declined because I was still waiting on that company that I ended up having to decline later on, the minute I declined that Fortune 500 company, they gave it to somebody else who was next in line after me. Everybody is replaceable in corporate. Matter of fact, when them CEOs be saying too much, when that CEO was on that screen with his mistress and he had to step down from his role, baby, they had the next CEO, the interim CEO, within weeks. If that. Everybody is replaceable. It don't matter how high up you are on the chain. Everybody is replaceable. Oh, next. I said, let's see where we are. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Policy. Many corporate policies were not built for this type of talent, and I genuinely hope companies evolve for the next wave of creatives. Consider this your sign that the interview goes both ways. I don't think people realize this. Like, there was even a point in time where I was in the interview process for an organization at FAMU, and they gave me the wrong, it wasn't nothing that y'all think it is. But the energy that they were giving me was not what I wanted. So I said, bye-bye. And they over here knocking at my door, calling me, 5-10 people calling me, asking me to reconsider. Baby, the interview goes both ways. And the same thing applies to a job. I could really tell a whole story time on that, but we're not going to get into that. But interviews go both ways, and that especially goes for a job. You are interviewing them as much as they are interviewing you. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. Yes, you may want the job really bad, but at the end of the day, at what cost? At what cost do you need that job that bad? Okay, that's all I'm saying. But let's keep going on this. Let's push further. You should be clocking their policies on side businesses, content creation, and external or extracurricular work just as much as they are clocking your resume and experiences. If you are a business owner, you have business to handle. Okay, business is business, and that is a two-way street. So just as much as they have to protect their brand and they have to protect their business, you need to do the same thing. So you should be fully invested into figuring out what their policies are when it comes to people that make content, people that have businesses, people that have side hustles, anything like that. That needs to be one of your priorities, is figuring out where they stand in that regard, because that is going to heavily affect you and your businesses. So just as much as they're making sure that you don't have a conflict of interest, you need to make sure that where you about to work ain't gonna be a conflict of interest, or isn't going to be a conflict or pull you away too much, or whatever, cause you trouble on your end as a content creator and business person. So please keep that in mind. But let me also advise you not to overshare. I made that mistake once, baby. I went into that HR meeting thinking, everything was cool. I thought I was bragging on myself, saying that I had 11 businesses and that I did this at 14 and did this at 16 and this at 18. I thought I was bragging on myself. I thought they were going to be like, damn, this girl can do a lot. We need her. No, they were thinking, damn, this girl got a lot going on. I don't think she can handle this role. Damn, this girl is doing this, and this. That's going to cause a liability to the company. Damn, this girl doing this, and this. How are we going to make sure that she's not doing this, and this on company hours? Okay? It's, damn, this girl doing this, and this. We're going to have to watch her to make sure she's not doing X, Y, Z. So what you think is a bragging point, and although you should be able to brag for it because you did that, you earned that, you put that work in. But from a company standpoint, it could be considered a liability, and it could also be considered something that they need to micromanage and watch to make sure that it doesn't turn into a liability. So yes, only tell what you have to, because what you think is a flex, in a lot of cases, that business or social media platform, they are quick to flag as a conflict of interest. And one last thing, HR is not your friend. Please know that HR's job is to put the best interest into the company, okay? The best interest always lies into the company. That's even outside of HR. The best interest is always going to be in the company. So yes, you're supposed to be able to confide in HR if you have any issues. Yeah. But when it comes to stuff like this, they're going to put the interest of the company first, okay? So if you fall outside of that, or if you're a liability to that, baby, you can kick rocks. So please do not overshare to HR especially, okay? Because in most cases, they the ops. HR can be the ops, okay? Not all HR, because there was one HR lady at my company. We was real cool. We had our one-on-one sessions. We were cool. But baby, not everybody. Not everybody, okay? Number 3, you got to put yourself first, Lucious. Put yourself first, okay? Here's what nobody tells you. Corporate systems will always prioritize the company first. We just said this, always. That doesn't make it evil. It just makes it corporate. That's the corporate world. That's the corporate culture. Your managers, your teammates, even your work besties, if push comes to shove, the system will always win. Okay? Unless you got some real down-to-earth managers that, when you walk, they walk too. I don't know a lot of people who gonna give up their job for somebody that they just work with. Okay? So just know, the system gonna win majority of the time. So you have to be the one protecting your peace and your mental health like it's a non-negotiable asset, because it is. Your peace, your mental health, that is non-negotiable. If you are not yourself while you are working this job, how do you expect to function? How do you expect to do your job if you can't even function at this damn job? If this job is impacting your mental health, the way you're eating, the way you're sleeping, how you feel about yourself, are you depressed? If it is impacting that, how the hell are you supposed to do your damn job? Okay, please. And y'all know I be speaking about this from personal experience. I got a whole video talking about how my part-time job led me to freaking depression, okay? And I had to pull myself out that. So please, okay? Your sign conflict of interest forms, you disclose, let me fall back a little bit. So I said you have to be the one protecting your peace, your mental health, like it's a non-negotiable asset, because it is. You sign Elmo can't speak. You sign conflict of interest forms, you disclose side businesses, and suddenly your creative advantage becomes something they are monitoring instead of celebrating. And listen, speaking from personal experience, they may very well ask you to report all brand deals and partnerships for approval. Yes, that damn company asked me and said that part of my contract, I would have to report every single brand deal I did. So like I just finished a brand deal with Camille Rose. I would have had to have sent that brand deal to them and say, hey, I'm about to work, or I want to work with Camille Rose on XYZ. Can I do it? And because that company worked, or that company created products in hair care, they probably would have said no, because it would have been considered competing. even though the hair care brands they have are not competing with Camille Rose, and not even in a sense of Camille Rose is better, but in a sense of it's not the same hair care category as Camille Rose. Camille Rose makes hair for textured hair. But still, because it's in hair care, I probably would not have been able to do it because I worked for that company, and it would have been considered competing. Mind you, what I do on my own time, that's my own time. What the hell that got to do with you? But I digress. I said, you may very well have to report all your brand deals and partnerships for approvals, almost like they are your manager in your personal business life, not to mention asking you to step down from one of your most prized possessions. I mean, as if. So y'all know they also asked me to step down from Synai Symone. Now, mind you, Synai Symone kind of been on autopilot right now, but she's still alive. She's still alive and well. She might be on autopilot running herself right now, but she's still alive and well, okay? And I was not willing to give up what I created at 14 years old. Like, even now, I will, like, being completely frank, I've toggled between whether I'm going to keep Synai Symone up or not. But the idea of getting rid of this brand, and I put my blood, sweat, and tears into it at 14 years old. I gave up corporate for this brand. It just does, like, why would I let it fall out? So it's like, I'm gonna find a way to keep this brand alive, you know, like, I'm gonna find a way. So we still pushing, she's still up and running. Definitely shop Synai Symone forever and always. And I said, and you know what? I get it. They're a business, and with that comes liability. And for that reason, just as they had to make a business decision, so did I. And that's what you have to, like I said, it goes both ways. So just as they had to make a decision, so did I. I have a decision to make as well. You got a business decision, and I got a business decision, okay? So when I say protect your peace, I mean understand the system you are stepping into and do not lose yourself trying to fit inside it. And please hear me on this one. Do not let corporate become your entire life. Work to live. Do not live to work. And what does that mean? When we work to live, we work to fund our life. That we work to fund the life that we want. But we are not living to wake up and go to work. No. Hell no. Okay, we are not only just going to work, coming home, getting in the bed, you know, cooking food, getting in the bed. No, baby, go on your vacation, go to that concert, go outside for a walk, go touch some grass, go work out at the gym, go for a walk, go on a hike, go look at some nature, just go sunbathe, lay in the grass, something. Okay. Work to live, do not live to work. It is so easy to fall into that trap where your routine, your self-care, and your actual enjoyment of life gets pushed to the side. Trust me on this. I've had to pull myself out of that place before, and it is not somewhere you want to stay. I have an entire video on my main page, but I think I might have collaborated with this page as well, where I'm talking about how I was literally in a deep depression because I decided to get a job that was practically nightlife. I wasn't a bottle girl. I don't know if I ever told y'all where I worked. I don't think it's important that y'all know where I was working at, but I was working for this company. I don't think they closed until like 2 or 3 in the morning. They were in Atlanta. I live south of Atlanta, so now I'm having to drive an hour back home. I'm not getting home till 3, 4 in the morning. Mind y'all, I go to the gym at 6:30, so I stopped going to the gym. Then it was like by the time I woke up, I wake up at like 11, 12-ish in the morning. I have to be back at work at 4:30, which means I have to leave at like 3 because I had to give myself an hour and a half to get there because I have to be there around like 4:30, 5:30, and that means I have to go through rush hour traffic. So it's like I'm waking up 12-ish, 12, 1 o'clock, between 11 and 1 o'clock. That's when I'm waking up. I have maybe 2 hours to do anything before I have to make that hour and a half drive back to Atlanta and go back to work. Y'all, it was terrible. I stopped going to the gym. I was barely eating because I also couldn't eat during that job. It was a serving job. So I wasn't eating because, you know, y'all know I'm a retail girly. When I had a job, like most of my jobs were internships. But I did work at Brewster's. Brewster's was my first job. After Brewster's, I worked at Target. So my only experience for real, because when I was at Brewster's, I didn't work over 4-hour shifts. So I got a 15-minute break. That's it. Target, we get our lunch break. In the world of food, the food industry, baby, you get in where you fit in. And at that job, you could barely fit in. So I wasn't eating while I was at work. I'm getting 20,000 plus steps every single day. I'm not eating. I'm not going to the gym. Baby, I was falling deep into a depression. And so I have a whole video about that whole situation, how I got myself out. But please, y'all, do not let yourself get into that space, especially not over a corporate job. Number 4, all they want at the end of the day is control. Corporate runs on rules, structure, and compliance. If those things are not met, performance doesn't matter. If you are not doing what they ask you to do, if you are not meeting the rules, the regulations, the structure, the compliance, baby, you can kick rocks, because they're just going to find somebody else that can do it. There's so many people out here that can do the same thing, that got the same qualification that you got, okay? So what makes you special? Now, yes, you're supposed to know how to answer that question. Absolutely. You're supposed to know how to answer that question, what makes you different. But on paper, it's a whole bunch of other people that got the same degree that you got. It's a whole bunch of people that have the same job experience that you got. So they're just going to find somebody else to do the work that you was doing. Point blank, period. And here, this is the part that people don't like to hear. Your talent does not exempt you from systems. Even your work besties, especially supervisors, are still accountable to the company first. So move accordingly, okay? You can't bend the rules. Your manager can't bend the rules unless you work in a really corrupt environment. But I say all this to say, sometimes your managers can't save you, okay? They can't save themselves, okay? And this is not fear talk. This is awareness. So I'm not trying to put no fear into nobody. I'm just trying to spread awareness. I'm trying to tell y'all the truth. I'm trying to keep it real with you so that you know what you're up against. And yes, we skipped one. Companies can and will dig into your digital footprint, your businesses, your partnerships, your income streams, all before even hiring you. They're going to go through your business real bad. And the crazy part is, it's not hard to do that in this day and age. And I say all this to say, if y'all wanted to figure out what companies I was talking about, where I work, LinkedIn is free. And I'm not trying to tell y'all to go down the rabbit hole, but I'm just saying it's so easy, because we put everything on social media. It's so easy to track everything. So if somebody wanted to go and see what companies I've worked with, they could do that. If somebody wants to go and see what brand deals I've had, they can do that. If someone wants to go and see my Substack posts, they can do that. And one thing about me, on LinkedIn, I post whatever I want, okay? When I'm on LinkedIn, I'm posting my content creation stuff, because that's what I do. I'm about to start posting my Substacks on there, talking about some corporate dropout. I'm about to post that I got my trademark, pending, because that's what I do. It might not be the same corporate, LinkedIn fakeness that, everybody be flaunting on LinkedIn. But I'm gonna do what I want to do. Me personally. But I say all this to say, it's easy with social media these days. It's so easy to figure out, if somebody wanted to figure out my first and last name, easy. If it's real easy. If you want to know where I go to school, where I went to school, easy. It's so easy to find stuff. So, it ain't gonna be hard for them to figure out if you got a business, if you got a social media page, what you saying on that social media page. That ain't that hard. And I said, yes, that includes asking about how your side ventures could impact their business. They will ask you that. So when they say they support entrepreneurship, just understand that there is a fine print that always exists. I highly advise all entrepreneurs and content creators to provide their brands and platforms, to protect their brands and platforms, and know that, again, as you interview and seek corporate opportunities, it is a two-way street, not just one. Not to mention, have a plan for your backup plan and never put all your eggs in one basket, okay? COVID was the hard reality check for many people who thought stability was guaranteed. When COVID came around, everybody was losing their jobs. That's when people started opening their eyes. Okay, that not everybody's job is guaranteed. There were so many people that ended up losing their jobs during COVID, okay? But also remember, social media posts come with timestamps, and anything you decide to do or post on the clock could come back to you later. Consider yourself always accountable. So that was one thing that I know when I was talking to, I think it was my manager's manager, one of them. And they were like, India, if you take this job, which we want you, but just know, there's going to be some people, not him, not his team, not my people, but there's going to be people in this corporation that are going to be looking at these platforms that you have and eyeing them like a hawk, down to the second that you decide to post them. And if you are posting them on company's time, that might run you into some issues. And so that's something that you guys need to keep into consideration. I've seen so many people, so many Gen Zers post, and that's what this next section is going to be about. They're posting content while they are at work. And of course, it's dependent on you and your company's policies, but they're posting content at work but it's not even like a, day in my life as a, lawyer, or day in my life as an accountant. No, it's unpopular opinions type, them just saying whatever while they on the clock, while they at work. And sometimes when they in uniform, I've seen so many people, they might not consider fast food. They might, you may not rank fast food in the same category as a corporate job, but why are you in your Target outfit? Why are you in your Popeyes uniform? Why are you in your Chick-fil-A uniform and you doing TikTok trends? And wondering why you getting fired or you getting an email from corporate. So that leads me to number 5. Number 5, my brothers, sisters, and non-binaries, where is your decorum? This one is not all corporate's fault. As someone with a PR background and a mom who is an educator with 5 degrees, y'all know my mama got 5 degrees. My mama was an educator. She did everything from a teacher to a principal to a college professor to working for the Department of Education. She done did it all. I have always understood that perception matters online and offline, okay? Now, you could deem the corporate dropout as risky and be like, girl, what you mean? You calling yourself the corporate dropout? Baby, that's my business, okay? It might be questionable, but it's iconic. You can't tell me that don't stick. You can't tell me that ain't memorable, okay? But unfortunately, a lot of people underestimate how much their digital presence speaks for them. So a lot of people posting bottles. You posting a bottle on top, but you a nurse. That's your business. Yes, that is your business. But baby, you are a nurse. And you posting on your public profile story, you with a bottle on top of your head, but you got to go to work the next day. Or you a lawyer and you posting, or you in law school and you posting yourself using AI for your exam. We losing a plot. Or you supposed to be a nurse or, a doctor or whatever, and you posting yourself playing inside the exam room or playing, inside of wherever. Or you a teacher doing XYZ. Where's the decorum? Okay, where is the decorum? Okay, what you post, how you move, what you overshare, it all builds a narrative before you even get into the room, baby. They gonna search the mess out of you. Just like when we be pulling people's old tweets up, baby, they is gonna do some searching on you, honey. Okay, now every company may not, do a deep dive, but I promise you, I wouldn't be surprised if there's an AI platform that they can put somebody's name in there and it pulls everything up. I wouldn't be surprised. So just know what you post, baby. Please don't let it come back to bite you in the ass, okay? I said, and yes, sometimes the safest move is to go private, but as a creator and as a business owner, that's not realistic. So as a content creator, what I look like having a private profile, or as a business owner, what I look like having a private profile. So for some of us, it's not an option, but if it is an option for you, I highly suggest make that profile private. And you'll notice when you get into corporate and, you might become friends with your coworkers and they might be older than you. You might notice that a lot of their pages are private. There's a reason why their pages are private. So instead, it's about being intentional, strategic, and aware. Even things like posting company trips or behind the scenes work moments can create issues later if you're not careful. 2 examples. If you're on a company trip, which technically I kind of am right now, be careful with what you are posting and how you are posting it, because if you're showing yourself spending whatever amount of money while you're on a trip, or you're on a company trip and you're posting yourself drinking on that company trip, or you're on a company trip and you're showcasing all the different things that you're doing on that company trip, you might end up posting something that shouldn't have been posted. Whether it's, okay, how much is she spending on this company trip? Is she overspending? Is she using the funds how she's supposed to? So you might get some turnaround from your internal company saying, hey, how exactly is she spending these trips? Is she really just taking a vacation and just using company money to go on vacation? Or is she actually working? Is she actually doing what she said that she was going to do on this company trip? That could be 1. 2 could be that you accidentally post some confidential information. If you're having meetings about a new launch and you're over here posting about the new launch and you accidentally post something that has, a brand partner or an important meeting or an investor or NPD, so new product development that hasn't come out yet, baby, you breaching that contract. Or if you doing a day in the life at work and you're accidentally posting something, like I remember there was someone who was posting like day in the life as a Sephora manager. She posted where she submitted the money at the end of the day. So when she had to count the money and turn the money in at the end of the day, she posted where she was doing that. So people knew exactly what part of the store the money was being held. You are a liability. Because anybody should just go and rob that store. Now they know where the money is at. They know how to get there. She got fired. So it's stuff like that. You think you're fine. You think you're just capturing something innocent, but you're actually a liability because you're exposing information that doesn't need to be exposed. Especially if you work in a capacity where, especially in marketing, a lot of the times with marketing is, hey, we're partnering with this person or we are dropping this product, but it's not out yet. So if you start posting stuff, now you're, spoiling the new partner or you're spoiling the new product development, all because you wanted to post content on social media. So it's stuff like that where you have to be careful. I said, and let's talk about trends too. The things people are participating in on TikTok, like that one silhouette. I know y'all remember that silhouette challenge. That bust it. If I see my teacher, if I see my college professor, if I see my doctor, if I see my nurse, if I see my lawyer doing that challenge, I mean, I'm going to tell you to go, girl, drop it like it's hot, by all means, okay? It's your life. If you look good, you look good, okay? If them knees is kneeing, then they kneeing. But your job may not like that, sweetheart. Your job may not like that very much, okay? So I'm not saying that I'm saying this to judge you, because I'm all for it, baby. Do what you want to do. If you want to drop it low, then drop it low, okay? Just make sure it look good. But if you work in an overly corporate field, that may not be the best option, okay? I said the silhouette challenge from a few years back, they're cute in the moment, but don't let it cost you down the line, especially to all the future doctors, lawyers, teachers. Baby, you chose an overly corporate field, and I put overly in all caps. They will very much be on your ass, okay? So I don't know what y'all are doing as far as what career you chose, but please note, if you have an overly corporate field, baby, you got to be careful with what you're posting. You have to be careful with what you are posting. Now, this is really just a surface. The deeper story, moments behind the scenes, decisions, and everything that led me here will be unpacked in my corporate dropout diary excerpts. And just so we're clear, she's raw, unfiltered, and very much uncut. Don't let this PR degree fool you, baby, because at the end of the day, I'm going to say what I want to say how I want, just in a way that won't get me sued. Amen. And for access to strategies, systems, and lessons that led me to throughout this entire journey, be sure to subscribe to the Corporate Dropout Insider Crew. Until next time, XOXO, the Corporate Dropout. So yes, y'all, that is my Substack. Thank y'all for coming to my TED Talk. Like I said, this was my very first Substack post, and I have a lot more planned where this came from. So I definitely am going to be posting my Substacks weekly, so definitely stay tuned for that. Make sure you guys subscribe to my Substack. It will be linked in the description below. With every Substack, I am going to try and do one of these sit down videos where we talk and discuss, the topic at hand, because I feel like a lot of these conversations need to be had. So I definitely want you guys to drop in the comment section any thoughts, ideas that you guys have surrounding this conversation, or any conversations that you would like me to dive into. Make sure you guys stay tuned for the next one. Like, comment, and subscribe to this video, and I will see y'all in the next one. We in Miami.